a short intro for the one that are joining us for the first time. So LiveTrend is a digital solution providing data-driven trend analysis and competitive intelligence, leveraging big data and AI to forecast trends with the highest accuracy and help brands capitalize on the right product and avoid overproduction. LiveTrend.co, it's a collaborative platform designed for the entire value chain, providing different tools, helping strategic teams working together, sharing the same information. And our goal is to facilitate your decision by giving you the concrete information you need to capitalize on the right trends. I think, Julia, you can switch off your microphone because I hear my voice. Thanks. LiveTrend is an innovative solution able to better forecast trend and monitor the market thanks to a technology that collects and processes millions of images and text from the most influential sources today, Instagram, e-commerce, and fashion show. And we are able to cross those information with consumer interest, meaning with consumer searches online, to help you stick as much as possible with consumer needs to avoid producing polluting overstock. We are here to give you the most reliable information so you can avoid relying just on intuition. And we can help you be more efficient and, of course, more sustainable. As pioneer of data-driven trend analysis and forecasting, we are on the forefront of fashion tech and keeping up with the latest developments. Today, we will show you how at LiveTrend we can translate the million of data we analyze into product images that translate the right set of trend and show picture of future bestsellers. And what I want to share today is that I think that generative AI is an amazing added value for LiveTrend, because if you are a designer, I am sure that you have already heard when you're presenting your design, oh, do you have a picture to show me what do you mean? I would usually get very disappointed, because if you create a new product, how can the picture of the product already exist? Today at LiveTrend, with artificial intelligence, we can help you better understand how to use our powerful data and create the future bestsellers, because we can already represent our best information in a product picture. Isn't that fantastic? And then it's your turn, because you know how to create the right product adapt to your brand. Let's get room for the open discussion about generative AI, because as you have seen, we made this amazing report with this new amazing added feature to LiveTrend, and I would like you to ask your question or even your maybe also perplexity about the generative AI, and we will be pleased to answer to you and go on with the discussion.
We can ask this first question. How much of the AI generated images is actually done by LiveTrend and how much by the machine? Well, that is a really interesting question, because in the end, I think basically almost everything is done by LiveTrend. So I always consider, when creating these images, myself, for example, in this situation, as kind of a AI art director, because in the end, you can kind of think about it like when you plan a photo shoot, or you want to achieve a certain image, and in the end, the machine is just a little click on the camera. But what lies behind it is all the planning, like what is the concept? So there we use obviously all of our research and our LiveTrend track data. And then afterwards, we are fusing these ingredients. Now we need to think about what is the location, the concept, literally every little tiny detail about how is the movement, how is everything that we want to kind of express about the trend or the piece or about whatever it is. And then when we prompt it, it's kind of all the work that goes on behind the set. And when we click on generate, that's when kind of the magic of the camera is happening. So in the end, I would say AI is a little bit kind of the camera that is putting the story together, but without any, motive or anything else. You couldn't create any, fashion images, etc. So I think it's still so much work. And then even if you get your first generations, in our situation, we know exactly what we want to express, because we're using this tool to kind of visualize the future based on our information. So instead of just using images, collaging them into a mood board, we're expressing it via AI generated images. And since we know exactly what we want to have at the end, sometimes AI would generate us a silhouette that isn't really what we had in mind. So there's a lot of alterations, a lot of adjusting the prompts, adding negative prompts, etc.
Yeah, because you have to understand that with artificial intelligence, it's always a lot of training.
Yeah.
Because yeah, of course, there's an intelligence behind, but as Julia said, you are the artistic director and AI is a tool. So you have to make the tool, work on the right way, or even this intelligence understand what you want, to visualize. And so what I can say is that you really need to be an expert. You need to be talented, you need to be creative, you need to know the specific wording, to create even a silhouette, what is a dart and what is, even for prints, the name of the prints, because the AI will, create what you are writing. And so it's important that you have, you have this knowledge to, approach the tool in this direction. And what we are lucky at LiveTrend, that we just need to give you, inspiration, so images of this, future product, and then it will be you getting inspired of these, new images that are not a real product already done. You will, challenge your creativity to do, much better.
Then there's this question, which AI technology are you using to generate those images? To be honest, I think we're going to keep this to us because it's our tool to create these iconic images, but you can just search online. There's different options available that you can use and explore. But you will see even, it's a very, within the selection of the tool, within the selection of your settings, within the selection of your prompts, you're kind of becoming the artist. So this would kind of be like giving away all of the magic and all of the skill as well. So because there's so much little adjustment in terms of technicalities, that, you can't really share this information because it's kind of a very internal and specific process.
And Julia, maybe can you explain what is a prompt? Because maybe we are talking with, the right technical words, but maybe not everybody know what is the prompt or what is, the process, because maybe they just think they can put, images in a shaker and yoo-hoo, it's, miracle. So maybe you can tell a little bit more, because even
maybe you can go to this first slide that we created.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, because I think it's interesting to really
understand. Well, in general, AI generations are based on these so-called prompts. So what does that mean? Like, prompt is text. Prompts mean little kind of directional information that you are giving to the machine. So it's a little bit like a script, like when you're directing a movie and you give your little, this is going to happen. So you're kind of instructing the machine what it has to do. You need to use a very specific type of wording for or even different codes to get different kind of outputs that are going
it's literally code at the end,
Yeah, definitely.
Developer,
Yeah, there's very almost cryptical little phrases and elements that you need to kind of put in place together to turn the visual information into a text and then put it back into a visual image. So this is kind of, and you can use positive prompts that are about what the image is supposed to be. And then you can also add negative prompts, which are about the elements that you want to exclude from the image. If, for example, you have a first trial and or you prompt your image and then there's certain elements that are kind of not matching with the concept that we want to portray, then we can add those negative prompts to facilitate altering the image and taking out certain ingredients, let's say.
I hope it's more clear, because I think now you have a little bit more of explanation on how it works, and that's why we said it's really a mix, and I think it will be like a new job at the end to really have this technical knowledge as a developer to know how to code, to write the prompt, and then this fashion and also aesthetic, this taste, even to create, those images. So
yeah, I think it's interesting what we just got as a little comment in the chat. I was a bit afraid of how to manage the impact of AI in the industry. I feel more self-assured. This is a great tool, and I think that kind of comes down to this. So AI generations are just adding a tool. So it's not like they are replacing your work. It still is very time consuming. And as I mentioned, you need to do all of this research when you want to create an image or a design or anything that you will have to do when you do the same thing in real life. It's just that in this case, for example, the camera is replaced. Not saying that we don't need photographers anymore, of course, but it's replaced by this stable diffusion image system.
There's another interesting question, because it says, does the AI allow us to know how long the microtrend will last? AI is not like a miracle. What I mean, AI can be used for many things, as you can use, for example, if you try with ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, is the norm core trend last for, will it be there in 2 years, in 1 year? Just try to ask to ChatGPT and you will see the answer will be, I cannot make forecasting for tomorrow. So of course, with AI, we can do, predictions, because, we do like predictive for, our forecasting, but we have concrete data that we can calculate, and it's very statistic, but it's giving us, as Julia said, for the picture. If you give the right ingredient, you can have the right picture. So if we give the right data, the right information, you can have the right, prediction. But if you just, give a bunch of data, at the end, you won't have the right answer. So I think it's important to understand that AI is just a tool, and it's the person, the company, or, the group of people that are using the tool that can, really give the tool the right information, and they can have the right answer. So yes, we can predict with AI, but it's very different from image generation or our image recognition, for example. It's really different, technology even.
Then we have another question. Can AI be useful for brands with evergreen heritage style? And I think this question is quite interesting. And personally, with my experience, for example, I think it depends on what AI you mean, because just as you saw with Barbara's answer to the first question, it's such a broad spectrum. So for example, the AI that we are using to track the market, to help brands understand which products are the right ones to invest in, certainly, I think, especially for heritage and evergreen type brands, it's really important, because they can precisely adjust their collection and maybe even leave room for a tiny bit of, statement style to, editorialize the collection, but then set on the right, let's say, essential pieces compared to their consumers. But if you think about generative AI, I think it can be an interesting opportunity to launch or push certain creativity levels to the forefront. Let's say, for example, you have a best-selling piece and you can see that there's some sort of trend popping up, but for some whatever reason, you can't really imagine, as let's say a designer, can't really imagine, oh yeah, this is a cool trend, it's everywhere, but we have this type of blazer that we sell, or this type of shirt, whatever. And then you could experiment with AI, be surprised eventually by certain designs, or also see that it's not working. So I think that would be, let's say, a generative AI. But in generally, I think, like Barbara said, there's so many ways to implement AI into fashion that actually it's really hard to answer. Like, obviously, there's a lot of potential within the technology.
Yeah, and there's another question from Elizabeth. She say, would you say that you are using AI as a confirmation? And I can say no, because when we are not using just AI, but we also have big data. So for LIVETREND, if it's not just AI or AI, generative AI, it's not a thing, but we also work a lot. Our base is really big data. So of course, you said, after all, it is only as good as you feed it. So yes, because we have data to feed it. And so then sometimes we're even surprised when we do our analysis and we say, oh, okay, because of course we have experts, they have their mind, they have their talent, and they express their opinion. And then we check with our tech, with the data. And sometimes we are surprised because the data is not confirming, our intuition and giving other, options. And so I think it's really, this kind of co-working, with data, AI, and human that make the right recipe for us. This is really what we strongly believe at LIVETREND. Maybe other companies are just pushing, the button with all the data that can grab on the internet and have the results. But we really spend a lot of time to find, to fine tune all the algorithm and to really have the, the right answers for fashion. That's why today was specialized in one field, because if you want to be very performant, in trend forecasting, competitive intelligence, because it's not just about trends, it's analysis at the end. You really have to be, strong on what you're doing and really know, your market and really have this knowledge. So I think that's why today we are so strong on what we do, and maybe tomorrow we will grow and do it for other industry. But today, our, can I say, playground with AI is certainly the fashion industry.
Yeah, and just to maybe focus just quickly on this last part of the sentence, it is really just as good as you feed it. That is really valid for this AI generative part, not for the technology that we use overall. So with regards to this idea of confirmation, and for AI generations, we're not really using it as confirmation, but basically as a mean to describe the future visually. Especially in this field of trend forecasting, like we mentioned throughout the webinar, we do not have images of the future, but we at LIVETREND have the right ingredients and the aesthetic, talent, let's say, of our creative teams. And those together combined are then able to visualize a trend or a perspective of a trend. So it's not really a confirmation, but rather a means to visualize our ideas in the best way possible. Interesting questions. And me as someone who worked with the tool is very interesting, because I remember the more and more, you train the machine, the more realistic your images are getting. At some point, you even get really confused in the real world. Like when you scroll your Instagram feed, you think, oh my God, these images must all be fake, because you can't even distinguish. Because, some are so realistic that you're actually shocked.
Yeah, I think even when we are thinking about, our forecasting for, the future, and we always, there are some keywords always coming, back to us as, identity or reality, or even, because we will be surrounded of these AI generated images tomorrow, and it will be very difficult to make the difference between the reality and what is generated. So yeah, these are other existential questions. And of course, feel free to contact us if you need more information, because as you can see, this is not, this is our passion. So we really love to, explain. We can talk for hours.
Hi, hey, everyone.
Wow, how many?
Thank you so much.
And as I said, if you need more information about the fall winter 24-25 season, or more information about our platform and all our fantastic tools,
Yeah, see you.
to contact at livetrend.co or directly to me, Barbara, at livetrend.co.
Yeah. And we hope to see you next time again.
Yes.